Hi y'all, bama.dell here, aka Bike Lane Inns on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. In this video, I'm going to update you on my latest geocaching. I'm going to talk about my plans for geocaching during the bicycle ride across Georgia. And I'm going to wrap up my investigation into Cachtur. So let's get to it. Since my last video and the end of the Cache Carnival, I've been looking ahead to the bicycle ride across Georgia. I've been locating caches in the stopover cities that I want to find. I've been solving puzzles, those that I can solve ahead of time. And I've been scheduling events. I've scheduled events in most of the stopover cities so that I now have a string of events across the state. I've also had a really good response in most of the cities, so I'm really cranked about that. The detailed routes between the cities haven't been published yet, so I cannot yet look ahead and plan caches along the rides that I want to find, but that will come. I've been putting in a lot of miles on the bike to get in shape, and of course I've been caching along the way. On a ride out west after work one evening, I found a couple of caches. On another ride down to the Tennessee River after work, I found another couple of caches, some really cool ones. And the FTF wars have been raging over the past week or two. I got an FTF on a Friday morning.
First to find.
I got another one on the following Sunday morning. And on that same morning, I tried to go for a second, but found that I had been beaten by another cacher. And then on a rainy day, just a couple of days ago, I went out before dawn thinking I was going to get an FTF and found that I had been beaten by about an hour. But I was able to close out that day on a high by fulfilling the geocaching challenge of the month to find a cache in someone's front yard. So I found a cache in a little lending library. And just yesterday, I joined a cycle club ride from Mooresville, Alabama to Ardmore, Tennessee, where I plan to find 3 geocaches. The first cache was a cemetery cache. It was a memorial. It was really nice. It was a nice cache. I had to ride a couple of miles down a highway. The traffic was getting a little sketchy. The second one, I looked at the last logs and there had been about 3 DNFs in a row, so I decided not to waste the effort to go after that one. And then I worked a post office box puzzle cache, but I found when I solved for the final, I saw that it was 4 miles back down the same highway, and I decided that I would just have to come back in the car sometime and do that one. I took some hyperlapse video of the last 7 or 8 miles, and I'll tack it onto the end of this video if you're interested. A few videos back, I did a basic tutorial about using Cachtur and using Cachtur to plan a GeoTour. So I looked at 2 GeoTours in central Tennessee. It worked really, really well for the first, but it didn't seem to work well for the second one. Well, since then, I heard from the developer of Cachtur, and he told me there is indeed an 80 cache limit on the optimization feature. And so for GeoTours or lists that are greater than 80, you need to divide it into multiple lists. Now, he made a really good point. For a GeoTour that gets really big like that, you're probably going to be working multiple days. And so he recommended dividing them by the days. So I went back to the Discover South Central Tennessee GeoTour, and I divided it into east and west of Interstate I-65. And once I divided it into 2 sections, it produced a really nice result. You can see the result here. Of course, the decision that you make dividing your GeoTour, that's going to affect how optimum your route is, so you'll have to think about that carefully. Just one more thing about Cachtur. When I went back to try out the suggestions from the developer, I could no longer get the Cachtur assistant to work. It seemed to be a problem with Tamper Monkey. It seemed to be complaining about permissions in Chrome. I even tried it on a Windows machine, still couldn't get it to work, cleared my browser cache. I really don't know what's going on. I was able to solve the GeoTour because you do all the routing within the Cachtur website. You don't need the assistant for that. But of course, if you don't have the system, that really cuts down on the value of being able to browse the route of a trip and select caches along the way. So if I can't figure out how to get it to work again, I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to use it that much. Well, that's it for this video, but I got a couple of things coming up. A couple of us are planning to attack the Death Star GeoArt near Tuscaloosa, Alabama on May the 4th. And my wife and I are planning a trip down to Savannah to see our son in a few weeks. I'll be cycling and caching down there. And of course, I'll still be planning for the Big Bragg ride. So stay tuned. And if you've not already subscribed to my channel, please do so. Thanks a lot, y'all.